Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam. Om Jnantimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita study group. Thank you all for joining. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
In chapter 5, Krishna clarifies that Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas are the same, right? But Karma Yoga is easier. It is more suited to the current situation. Okay, what is Karma Yoga? Do your karma, but do it for Yoga. Yoga means connection to the Supreme. Okay, so do all your work, do all your karma, but do it with no attachments. Sangam tyaktva, like a lotus leaf. Okay, then we studied there were three doers. The Jivatma desires. And if and when Ishwar sanctions, then Prakriti facilitates. Okay, but the responsibility for all action is on the Jivatma because it all begins with a desire. Okay, so we all have to be very, very careful because the responsibility is ours. We need to use our free will, our independence very, very carefully. Then Krishna went to a section where he was talking about the Pandit. A person who's truly learned, he is very, very humble. He sees everyone with equal vision. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Sama Darshanaha. So what we're all trying to work towards is Sama Darshan. And in the end, we learned the peace formula. Okay, with that, we will start the 6th chapter. Atha Shashtho Dhyayah. Now this 6th chapter, remember 5th chapter, last verse, right? Surhudam Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna has said, I am the Surhud. I am the friend, I am the well-wisher of all beings. I reside in their heart. Which means this Surhud of ours is our Paramatma. Right? So now this 6th chapter is going to talk about this feature of God. The Paramatma feature. The one who's sitting within us, he is most dear to the yogis. And so in this chapter, the discussion is going to turn to who are the people who are eligible to be able to communicate with this Paramatma inside. Who should actually be able to sit down for Paramatma realization. And this process of Paramatma realization, what yogis do, is called Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyan Yoga. Okay, so that's the connection from the 5th chapter down to the 6th chapter. So please understand, in the 3rd chapter, right, we studied Karma Yoga. In the 4th chapter, we studied Jnana Yoga. 5th chapter, we combined both, right? We went to a Karma Yogi who has now got Jnana, and so what he is doing is Nishkama Karma Yoga. He is doing karma, but he has no kamanai. He's given up all selfish desires. Right? So, dhire, he's coming to a more mature stage. And by the time we came to the end of the 5th chapter, this devotee, this person who's sitting down and trying to understand scripture and apply it in his life, he's getting more and more mature. Right? More knowledge, more practice. Now, this person could reach a point where he says, Ab hai na, mujhe aur kuch nahi karna hai. Now I want to exclusively focus on God. And what is the path that I want to follow? I want to meditate. Right? So this is the stage of Dhyan. That is why this chapter is Dhyan Yoga. So we need to understand this whole step-by-step elevation of consciousness. We have to figure out where are we at this particular point. Initially, when you look at most people who have not even started on the path, they are like animals. Ahar, Nidra, Bhay, Maithunya. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Right? उससे थोड़ा सा ऊपर पढ़ते हैं, they find a devata. Right? Let me pray to a particular devata and let me get a boon. So they start performing various rituals. They start offering, different sacrifice to different devatas. ये पूजा कर ली, ये ritual कर लिया, so that I can get something in return. Then they realize कि okay, there is one supreme Lord and I am part and parcel of that supreme Lord. So the knowledge is now continuing. Slowly I start working towards, let me control my senses. Let me regulate my desires. Right? I start understanding that He is Bhoktaram. Right? Of all the yajna and tapas that I do. So I start understanding that He is all pervading. And then I desire to find Him, and so I start to meditate on the Paramatma within me. Right? This sitting down and meditating on the Paramatma within me is what is Ashtanga Yoga. Please remember, right at the beginning of this chapter, I'm going to tell you that God has given us many options. Okay? He very loudly said, Arjun, tu karma yoga kar, because it is fantastic. Now in the 6th chapter, he's talking about dhyan. But he himself is going to tell us that yes, it is a very, very difficult process. सबसे easy ये है कि तुम elevator ले लो, तुम भक्ति कर लो. If you do bhakti, then you can bypass this whole yoga ladder. है ना कि मैं पहले कर्म योग कर रही हूँ, फिर मैं निष्काम कर्म योग कर रही हूँ, मैंने ज्ञान लिया, फिर मैं ध्यान में बैठ रही हूँ. This is the ladder. Instead, if we do bhakti, we can just develop a direct relationship with God and we can reach Him directly. Okay? But in any case, for anybody who's calling us Ashtanga Yoga, it's very good to also know this chapter. Okay? So, to understand this chapter, we have to understand what the different stages of Ashtanga Yoga are. So, instead of directly diving into the verse, I'm first going to go through Ashta Anga, means 8 limbs. Okay, and that's why I said you might want to make a few notes today. Today I'll talk a lot of general stuff before we go into the verses. Okay, so first, Ashta Anga. What are the 8 steps of sitting down to do dhyan? Okay, the first one is Yama. Yama means what should I stop doing? What are the don'ts if I want to get on the spiritual path? First thing I have to know, what do I need to stop? What is a hindrance on my spiritual journey? And that is why any cult that you follow will tell you no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. Why? Because externally the easiest ones to drop, so that you at least start your journey. Right? So Yama is what should I strictly stop doing so that I can thoda bahut start walking on my spiritual journey. Okay, so Yama, what are the things that are in my control? Niyam. अब यम मैंने जो नहीं करना है उस पे ध्यान दिया, लेकिन immediately there is नियम जो मुझे करना है. Right? What are the most definite things that I need to do? I need to eat better food. Right? I need to sleep on time. I need to wake up early, preferably in Brahma Muhurat. I need to be clean. I need to be disciplined. Right? I need to be in control of my senses. I need to chant. I need to do swadhyay, study of scriptures. Right? So all of these become niyam. When I wake up, beautiful, right? Most homes have a niyam. सुबह उठते हो, नहा के जाते हो, पहले जाके you go to your altar and you do Jai Baba. Brahma Muhurat is 1.5 घंटा before sunrise. Somewhere close to that.
Which is like 3 in the morning?
4:30. 4:30. 4:30. Okay, that time is supposed to be very, very auspicious because there's no disturbance in the ether. And so I mean, if you even look at it logically, nobody is calling you, nobody is ringing your doorbell, nobody ka khana needs to be made. So even from a very logical perspective, that morning time, right, is when you get exclusive time to focus. And because there are no other distractions, your concentration is way better, right? And of course, they say that the ether is so much cleaner. And so you're able to connect with the Supreme better at that hour. So Brahma Muhurat is considered very, very auspicious. Okay?
That has to be like every day.
Yes. Niyam matlab something that you do every single day. Right? As much as you can. Pooja, when we start out on our journey, we can't get very hard on ourselves. Right? Neend aa gayi, so gaye. It's all right. Be kind to your body, because if your body is well rested, then your mind will be able to function better. But don't become so kind to your body that you start neglecting what is good for your betterment. Right? So we have to know what is the right balance for us. In fact, we'll see as we go ahead, Bhagwanji always says, Yukta Ahara Viharascha. Bhagwanji does not say 4 ghante ya 6 ghante ya 8 ghante. He says whatever is yukta for you, Pooja, you do that. Whatever is yukta for you, Sonal, you do that. Right? Somebody might need 8 hours of sleep, somebody might be okay with 4. Yeah? Alright. So niyam is what is something that I will do every day. After my bath, I will go and stand in front of God. I will fold my hands, bow down in prayer, have these, 2 or 3 shloks that I will say every day. Correct? So niyam, a practice. Yam and niyam are very, very important, is because they are preparing our mind and our consciousness. Okay? From there, so first is yam, second is niyam. From there we move to asan. Nowadays, normally when we say I go for a yoga class, what we focus on is asan and pranayam. Right? But asan is actually the third step of yoga. What we do today is physical yoga, where we sit down and we take different postures. But really there is no spiritual benefit when we do asan without yam and niyam. If we want spiritual benefit, if we want that whole calm, if we want that connection with the Supreme, then we need to practice our do's and don'ts very diligently. We need to get over our senses and then move on to asan, where in my asan, I learn to control my body. Right? In asan, because of my perfection of posture, I'm preparing my body to get ready for spiritual experiences. Okay? From asan, I move to pranayam. We all know pranayam. We're controlling our prana, the vayu. There are 5 different types of vayu which circulate in our body. And depending on how free this vayu ka circulation is, our energy level is high or low. Our body is agile or not agile. Our functions, our organs are functioning very well or not functioning very well. Right? So, pranayam is very, very important to balance the 5 vayus in our body. Asan and pranayam will help us get control over our body and our breath. With yam and niyam, we've already got control over our basic urges. Right? So, yam, niyam, asan, pranayam. After that, after we've done that for an extended period of time, we will be able to reach a point called pratyahara. Prati-ahar. Ahar means what? Food. Right? So food for any of our senses. We understand ahar as food that we put in our mouth. But ahar can be what I watch with my eyes. Ahar can be what I hear with my ears. Ahar can be what I like to touch. Right? Anywhere where I'm feeding my senses, that is ahar. And pratyahar means that I have control over what kind of ahar I am going to take in. I have control over saying no to external stimuli which is going to take away my focus. Right? So pratyahar, extremely hard. Because when a yogi sits down to meditate, he has to be able to say no to everything in his surrounding. Right? Pratyahar. I don't want any of this ahar for any of my senses. when he does pratyahar, when he learns to say no to all external stimuli, then he sits down and he's able to hold his focus for about 12 seconds. For about 12 seconds, he's able to hold his concentration on one object, and that is called dharana. It sounds so little, right? 12 seconds. We can gossip for 12 hours continuously, but we cannot focus our minds for 12 seconds on something that is the object of our focus. Okay? And this is just the beginning. Dharana is said to be 12 seconds. And this power can be increased by practice. रोज ध्यान में बैठो, फिर वो span थोड़ा 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 करके it will increase. And of course, chanting plays a very, very big role over here, because chanting helps you get your mind under control. Any Ishtadev ka mantra, when you chant, any kind of Nama Smaran that we do, constantly remembering Nama, it increases our Dharana Shakti. And when our Dharana Shakti increases, we go into what we call Dhyan. So 12 seconds is Dharana. 12 into 12, that means 144 seconds, which is about 2.5 minutes. That is Dhyan. So when somebody says, I'm sitting in Dhyan, it means for 2.5 minutes, they are able to have single-minded focus on their object. Okay? And then if this continues for a really, really, really long time with a lot of practice, then one attains Samadhi. Samadhi means 12 into 12 into 12 seconds, which is about half an hour. So for half an hour, if I'm able to get into a state where my mind is focused on one thought, then I have attained Samadhi. Okay, I need you to be familiar with these terms because we're talking about Ashtanga Yoga. Alright, so Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. These are the 8 gradual steps of Ashtanga Yoga. Are we clear? Alright. Now today, more and more people are talking about a holistic approach to health and healing. Correct? Originally, when you fell sick, we only looked at the human body and what was wrong with the body. But now we are talking of mind and then body and then spirit. Right? There is a realization that our human body is not just this physical body that we see. No. The human body is part of a very complex system, and this complex system has the mind, it has the emotions, it has our attitudes, it has the spirit, right? The will that we carry with us, right? So our physical body ke uprant, we have to be able to take care of our mind so that we reach that stage of well-being. Do you agree? Right? Nowadays, everyone is understanding ki just looking after your body is not enough. You need to look after your mind if you want holistic well-being. Right? So, in ancient medicine, in the Vedic period, this was all known. Right? The Taittiriya Upanishad, it says कि तुमको तो सिर्फ एक लेयर दिख रहा है, which is the physical body that you see with your eyes. But beyond that, your body is actually made up of 5 layers. All our bodies are made up of 5 distinct koshas. These are called kosha, layers, sheets. Okay, that is why I wanted a few notes. Okay, note these things down so that we start working on this. Okay, our physical body, this external body that we see, is just one out of the 5 layers. These are energy layers. The outermost layer is the physical body, it is gross, right? And we're very familiar with it. But the inner 4 are subtle bodies, subtle layers. They are in energy state. Because they are in energy state, even if we can't see them, we can experience them. We can become aware of them. Right? If we start focusing on ourselves really well, then we will become aware of these different koshas. We'll be able to understand them and then develop them. Pooja, 5 minutes and I'll clarify your doubt. Aura comes because of the balance in your 5 sheets. Okay, so I'll explain that concept to you. So please understand that these layers, the grossmost is outside, and as we go, it's like if you cut a pyaz, right? There are layers that come out. The outermost layer is our physical body. Uske andar ek layer, uske andar, uske andar, uske andar. So there are 5 layers like that. The outermost layer is called Annamaya Kosh. Anna se jo bharpoor hota hai. Anna is what? Food. Right? So our physical body, which means flesh, blood, muscles, bones, right? This physical body is nourished by what? It is nourished by Anna, by food, right? So it is called the food layer. We are very, very familiar with our food layer. But unfortunately, almost all the time, we become obsessed by only this layer, this gross body, right? Because in this gross body, all our other deficiencies are manifested. If you're stressed, your body has pain. If you're anxious, your body has pain. If something inside is imbalanced, it reflects on the body. Correct? So this is our physical body, Annamaya Kosh. And so the first 3 steps of Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam and Asan, actually help us to develop and strengthen this Annamaya Kosh. Okay, you can make little arrows. If you've written down the 8 steps of Ashtanga Yoga, draw lines from the first 3 steps and see these are essential to develop our Annamaya Kosh. Okay, our external physical body ko अच्छा टकटका रखने के लिए what do we need? Good yam, good niyam, discipline and good asan. Everyday yoga practice. Alright? From that, under our Annamaya Kosh is our Pranamaya Kosh. Pranamaya Kosh, the pranic life. Pran means our breath. Right? Without pran, body becomes lifeless. And if pran is in perfect order, then your blood circulation is perfect, your food digestion is perfect, the, impulses from the brain neck going back and forth, perfect. So those of us who can do good pranayam, right? It will result in better physical health. It will result in longevity because our physical life depends on this energy. And how do we make sure our pranamaya kosh is good? By practicing pranayam. Right? Pranayam makes our Anna Kosh body also very energetic. Are we clear? So the first external layer is Annamaya Kosh. Under that is the Pranamaya Kosh. Now this Pranamaya Kosh is related to the third layer, which is the Manomaya Kosh. Manomaya Kosh. This is the mind body. Okay? When our pran is perfect, then the mind is not agitated. When the pran gets disturbed, the mind gets agitated. Right? So when we're doing proper pranayam, our mind is calm and peaceful. Okay? So pranayam helps our external Annamaya Kosh. Pranayam also brings our Manomaya Kosh in balance. Please remember, pranayam is not just breathing exercise. Pranayam is deep focus that helps in clean, healthy flow of energy through our body. Okay? And the Manamaya Kosh is our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. Okay? Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, if they are in the right balance, then our immune system is better. When our negative attitudes are gone and when we replace them with positive attitudes, like love, like happiness, like peace. Right? When the mind is in a good place, even physically our body is in a better place. Correct? Every cell in our body responds to our thoughts. When we control our mind, we can do wonderful things with our body. Okay? So once we start becoming aware of our Manomaya Kosh, then we concentrate and we free ourselves from unhealthy thoughts. Right? We look at a thought and we say, okay, this is harmful, I need to get rid of it. We start developing better self-control. Okay? From there, we are able to go to Pratyahar. Because once our man is in control, then we are able to say no to things that cause nonsense to us, to our well-being. Okay? So for our Manomaya Kosh, Pratyahar is very, very important. Being able to say no to things that are negative. Withdraw our senses from everything that upsets our balance. And once that Manomaya Kosh is in balance, we move even more inwards. We move to the Vijnanamaya Kosh. So Manomaya Kosh can also be called the Jnanamaya Kosh. My mind and my intelligence. But intelligence, remember, is divided into two. Theoretical intelligence and actually realized intelligence. So realized intelligence is the fourth sheath, Vijnanamaya Kosh. Realized intelligence is called wisdom. Right? So this is the layer of wisdom. It is higher intelligence. Higher intelligence where I just don't have theoretical knowledge. When I say Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surudam Sarvabhutanam Nyatva Mam Shantim Richati. This is theoretical level pe I understand this verse. But for me to understand the wisdom in that, if I am able to focus on that Surud inside, then I can experience Shanti because I know He is my forever shelter. Wisdom. When I can apply that in the most trying situations in my life. Right? Not when everything is going well. But when things are not good, and if I'm able to say, okay, I can still hold on to peace. It is a choice. I have control over my own Sukh and Shanti. Right? Because I have the Paramatma inside, who is my permanent Surhud. That is Vijnanamaya Kosh. So, Vijnanamaya Kosh, the wisdom layer, where we get the Nipa, you want to say something, dear?
Yeah. Actually, I was talking in mute. I forgot to unmute myself.
Okay.
The thing is that the first question is how many layers are there? And second question is, suppose something happened outside, then how does it impact in each and every layer? If you could explain all those things, that would be good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, darling. There are 5 layers. Okay? 5 layers. We've already covered Annamaya Kosh, the external body that we see. Then we said there is Pranamaya Kosh. Then we said Manomaya Kosh or Jnanamaya Kosh. Now we're talking about Vijnanamaya Kosh, the fourth one. Okay? This fourth one is the reason why our intuition, some people have fantastic intuition. Why? Because they're so deeply focused. Right? They have better power of discrimination. They don't suffer with yaar ye sahi hai ki galat hai. They know. Why? Because their knowledge, their understanding is so perfect. They've not just read the scriptures and by-hearted them. They've actually spent time to study and to realize that knowledge. Okay? And when we get to that level of Vijnan, that is when we are able to say no to all illusions, to all worldly temptations, to all attachments. We're able to give up our negative qualities. Biggest of all, we're able to shed our ego when we have Vijnan. Because unless we shed that ego, we can never get to that highest level of wisdom. Remember, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. जब किसी के पास बहुत विद्या आती है, उसके साथ वो विनय हो जाता है. He becomes humble. Right? And then, once our mind is calm and stable, when that Vijnanamaya Kosh is being nurtured, right? At that point, what happens is we're able to go even closer, even deeper inside, because the outside world then stops affecting us too much. Our senses are withdrawn. Remember, we had done that verse, Kurmongani va sarvashaha. Like a kurma, like a tortoise. We're able to pull in our senses. Right? We're able to withdraw from the external world and we're able to focus inside. And we start looking at that Paramatma inside. We've done Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. That is where we reach Samatva. We start becoming equal in sorrow or in joy. Thanda hai, garam hai, dukh aaya, sukh aaya, doesn't matter. Our composure is maintained because we start understanding the meaning of life. We start understanding how everything is temporary. How yes, things will come, they'll give me happiness, they'll give me misery, they'll go away. Tam sthiti kshasva bharata. We will learn to apply the fact that God has said right in the beginning, please learn to tolerate. Because of your contact with this material world, you are experiencing all kinds of sukha dukkha. But all of this comes, stays for a little time, goes away. What you have to do is tam sthiti kshasva bharata. Right? So in this stage, we start understanding all of this. We start looking deeper inside. We start accepting ourselves for who we are. Most important, we don't fight ourselves. We have more clarity, we have more awareness, right? And we work on bettering ourselves. We start expecting lesser and lesser from the outside world and we become comfortable with who we are and what we have. Right? We start experiencing peace within ourselves. And this peace leads to happiness. It leads us to our innermost layer, which is Anandamaya Kosh. So, for my Vijnana, Dharana, Dhyan, ultimately I reach Samadhi, where I'm constantly in that happy stage, where I'm blissful, I'm joyful. This is the most subtle layer beyond our explanations. It is the core of our existence. Each one of us can only pray that we realize it. We cannot theoretically talk about it. This energy layer is purely spiritual. It is closest to that cosmic light, that supreme truth. Anandamaya Kosh is an experience. It's an experience where we feel one with the supreme, where we feel कि यार पता है मुझे ना आज भगवान ने ये बोला. Right? When this kosha is awakened, aha, anand hi anand. Right? We feel completely blissful. Believe me, if you've ever attended a Mangal Aarti, okay, जो सुबह 4:30 बजे मंदिर में होता है, or if you've attended a Pushpa Abhishek, okay, or if you've attended a Sankirtan, or if you've read the Chaturshloki Gita with full meaning, or you've read any verse that you like, right? Or even in our sessions, if you've heard something that just kind of held your attention for a few seconds and you've experienced pure bliss, that means you've gone and done kho. You've just touched your Anandamaya Kosh and come back. I was fortunate to attend a Pushpa Abhishek many years ago. And from that time till now, right, when they tell you, right, sometimes you just snap and it's important for you to go to your happy place. My happy place is that Pushpa Abhishek. It's a moment that I can never forget. Right? So all of us have these happy moments. For me, when Janva Mataji comes and takes this Bhagavatam class, right, and she's so humorous and she's so intelligent and she's very clear, saying, I only preach by example. She says, I don't use big words in my classes, but I preach by example. And when I'm sitting in her class and listening to her speak, I kind of feel like I'm connecting with my Anandamaya Kosh. Right? Or when I teach at the blind school, when one of those boys just comes and gives me a hug out of nowhere, I feel that he's touched my deepest layer. Right? He's hugging my physical body. But the happiness goes deep inside. It chirros through all the sheets and it hugs my Atma. That is Anandamaya Kosh. Right? All of us have to know what nurtures our Atma. And that is why we all actually step out on our spiritual journey. Read the Lilamrit. When you're reading the Lilamrit, many times you experience Anandamaya Kosh. Because Prabhupada's experiences are your and my experiences. And yet he tells you how he got over them. Right? These experiences which tell you, yes, of course, you can do it, will take you to your Anandamaya Kosh. So are we clear about the 5 koshas? Yeah? So Patanjali ka jo Ashtanga Yoga hai, this 8-fold yoga, this meditation actually helps us achieve Ananda. So a sadhak, a person who sits down in meditation, starts from his physical body, starts from yam and niyam, and he's trying to break away from the shackles of this physical body and reach that ultimate state of blissful always. So awakening that blissful self is the greatest gift that yoga actually has given to mankind. Okay? It's very, very important for us to keep all our sheaths in order. And Ashtanga Yoga understanding helps us do that. Yam, Niyam, Asan, physical body taken care of. Pranayam, Pranamaya Kosh taken care of. Right? Pratyahar. What happens? My man is getting under control. So, Manomaya Kosh is taken care of. Then Dharana. Once I get into Dharana and Dhyan, my Vijnanamaya Kosh is getting nurtured. And ultimately, I sit down in Samadhi. I am one with the Supreme. That means my Anandamaya Kosh is being nurtured. Now, please understand, this gives us a roadmap on how we can reach our final spiritual well-being. Right? A healthy physical body outside and a very, very peaceful and happy person inside. So this gives us a roadmap, understanding of the 5 sheaths. In Kali Yuga. And now snap back to reality. All of this sounds so good, but in Kali Yuga, all of us have trouble even following Yam and Niyam. Right? What Krishna will tell us is, actually what Acharyas tell us is, for us, let's at least do A, B, C, D. A, association. Let's always keep association of at least a few good people who will give you one thappad and drag you back to your spiritual life. Right? Association. Very, very important. Somebody who loves you so much and somebody who understands how much this spiritual journey means to you, that every time you say, yaar, chhod na yaar, aaj hai na, nahi karti hu mal. Aaj hai na, nahi ye karti hu, that person will say, shut up, drop everything else, do it. Because he understands how important it is for your well-being. So please make sure you always have good association. Make sure you have books around you. Let your books not be locked in beautiful libraries. All the books that you intend to read, keep them within your visible range. है ना? It's not clutter. If you have 2 books on coffee table, 2 books on your side table, 2 books on your bedside stand, it's a very good thing. It is not clutter. Okay? You should be able to read 4-5 books at a time. Iske 2 verses, because spiritual reading is very heavy reading. Spiritual reading is nahi ki kitab pakad liya and you finished it. वो होता ही नहीं है. You read about half a page and you're thinking about it for the next 2 days. So give yourself variety of good books. Books that reinforce your journey. Okay? Third thing, C, is chant. Chant. Whether it is 21 times, it is 108 times, or it is 16 times, 108 times. Chant. D, focus on your diet. Ahar. Diet from now on, you have to understand, is not just the food you eat. आज मैं मिलेट्स का डाइट कर रही हूँ, आज मैं वो 16 and 8 का कर रही हूँ, आज मैं प्रोटीन डाइट कर रही हूँ. That is for our physical body. Please from now on understand, diet refers to ahar, which means what I give to all my senses. Okay? So be very, very watchful about your diet. So A, B, C, D. Association, books, chanting and diet. If we focus on this, we will all achieve perfection without getting too caught up with hard Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, now with this in the background, let's get started with the chapter. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Shashtodhyayah. Please repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashrita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yah Sa Sannyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na Niragnir Na Chakriyah.
Study of Godhead. One who is unattached to the fruits of this work and one who works as he is obligated to the renounced order of life. And he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no deed.
Wonderful, thank you. भगवान है ना अभी तक भी है ना 5th chapter को है ना कंटिन्यू किए जा रहे हैं, right? So he's continuing the concept of karma yoga. So again Krishna is saying कि look, just doing rituals will not make you a sannyasi. Who is a true yogi? Who is a true sannyasi? तुमको क्या लगता है वो जो फलाहारी बाबा है या दुधाहारी बाबा है या pavanahari baba hai, you know, people who eat only leaves, or people who eat who don't eat at all, or who just survive on their breath. You know, you go to this what is that, where you see all these naga babas, right? Krishna is saying, nahi, don't think that these people are sannyasis. No, external acts don't make you a sannyasi or a yogi. So Krishna is telling us what is the definition of a sannyasi, what is the definition of a yogi. He says that person who can give up karma phal, that person who can give up the fruits of their actions by offering them to God, are actually sannyasis and yogis. Yog means connecting with the Supreme. So Krishna is saying, if you want to connect with me, then please understand this definition. I am Paramatma, I am right there within you, right? Just absorb yourself in me, which means do whatever you want to do outside, but always think of me. So Krishna is again saying that even in Grahastha Ashram, even in our families, living our fancy lives, we can be sannyasis, we can be yogis. All we have to do is be humble and do everything that we do in the right spirit. Okay, so Krishna is again saying prematurely घर वर छोड़ के कहीं निकल मत जाना, prematurely अष्टांग योग करने बैठ मत जाना, prematurely before your mind, your senses, your body is ready, don't leave everything and think मैं काशी जाऊंगी. है ना, there's that beautiful saying ना, जन्मा यावे नित्य वदावे काशी जावे. Because I've taken birth, I will constantly keep thinking and dwelling on the fact that I want to go to Kashi. I want to end my life in Kashi. That is my ultimate goal. But there is a time for it. It is not today. For today, calm your mind. Do your karma without expecting karma phal. So before you can sit down to practice Ashtanga Yoga, before you can sit down in Dhyan, you need to be purified by Nishkama Karma Yoga. Without any kamana, doing your karma. Okay? We'll continue. The same thing continues in the next verse. Please repeat. Yam sanyasamiti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahya sanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana.
What is called renunciation you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme, O son Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nipa. Now, last verse for the day. Please listen very carefully. Okay? What Krishna is saying is, what is sannyas is not different from karma yoga. Because you cannot become a yogi also without giving up worldly desires. Matlab, who is a sannyasi? One who says कि अब I don't want anything that is going to make my mind and senses happy. Sannyasi मतलब मैंने सब कुछ छोड़ दिया है. Right? I don't want anything. That is sannyas. But is that our ultimate goal? Is our ultimate goal giving up things? Sannyas means I have stopped running in the wrong direction. Please understand, just now, I want movies, I want shopping, I want dinners, I want jewelry, I want, whatever other pleasures. Sannyas means I stop this, I want, and I come here. Means मैं गलत रास्ते भाग रही थी. I have stopped running in the wrong direction. That is sannyas. Okay. But is this my ultimate goal? I was searching for happiness in this world. And I understood that in this world, there is no happiness. So I stopped running in that direction. But by stopping running, I have not reached my destination. Very important to understand this. Just by stopping, I have stopped. But my destination is there. I want to reach God. I want to go back to my original home. So by stopping my run here, my journey has stopped. Do you understand? My destination is not reached. My destination is God realization. The process of going towards God is yoga. Sannyas means मैंने ये सब छोड़ दिया. So those who have incomplete knowledge of what their goal is, they think कि सब कुछ renounce कर दिया, so then I have achieved the highest goal of spirituality. But no. The highest goal of spirituality is God realization. That is my ultimate goal. Why am I doing all that I do? Because I want to reach God. So just giving up is going to land me in a neutral place. Right? So that is why Krishna is saying, in the first line he is saying, a real sannyasi is one who is a yogi. That means the person who is actually connected with God. Person who has yoga, who has connection with God. In the second line he says, you cannot be a yogi if you don't give up material desires. If there are material desires in the mind, you will keep running towards the material world. And if you want your mind to be connected with God, then you will have to free that mind from material desires. You will have to take sannyas from material desires and then go running towards God. So my aim is not being a sannyasi. My aim is being a yogi. Right? And to be a yogi, I have to first be a sannyasi. Is this concept clear? We're going to end here, and I want you to think about this concept all through the week. मैंने कांदा लहसुन छोड़ दिया. Does that make me a yogi? No. मैंने एक physical external act का संन्यास ले लिया. मैंने कांदा लहसुन का संन्यास ले लिया. Right? But has that connected me to God? No. I need to walk, I need to chant, I need to read, I need to introspect. I need to work on myself, I need to be connected with God, because that is my spiritual path. So kanda lasun chodna, chai coffee chodna, non-veg chodna, very good. But these are only preparing me. Taking sannyas from all of this is just preparing me for my most important journey, which is being a yogi, which is getting connected to God. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Thank you all for joining.